笑わせんじゃねえ。俺はクロム。やべえほど頭の切れる科学使いだ。そっちこそラボで助けてって泣きつくんじゃねえぞ。なあ、ラボは任せろ。加熱チームはてめえに任せる。
Hello everybody, Megazord X here. I'm back at it again to give y'all another exciting Dr. Stone episode review, and this time I'm going to be reviewing episode 23, Wave of Science. But before I get too deep into this episode review, with me today I got another guest again showing up for the third time for this whole entire Dr. Stone episode review series. I got my boy Jony over here. Go ahead and say hello.
Hi guys, what's going on? It's Jony here, back at it again with Zod to review a Dr. Stone episode.
Alrighty. And before I get too far into this review, I wanted to say, since Dr. Stone is almost at the very end, because today we got episode 23 to talk about and review, and then next week is going to be episode 24, and then that technically will be the end of Dr. Stone. So I decided, you know what? Hey, I'm going to have my boy Jony over here, and I might have an extra guest. I don't know, I'm still kind of working out the little details though, but I'm planning on doing a whole entire, review all, kind of like a last little video, just going over all of our greatest moments throughout the whole entire anime. Things we really like, things we didn't like, talking about the characters we might have liked, talking about the different arcs, answering some of y'all's questions that some of y'all may have had, all of that and everything else in between. I'm going to be doing all of that for that final little bit of a video for Dr. Stone. So down in the description box below, I got links to a survey that basically has y'all answering just a few little questions. Shouldn't take y'all no more than like 3 minutes to answer though, but it's just a quick little survey just to kind of see, who y'all thought is best boy, best girl, favorite arc, and then if y'all happen to have a question as well, you can leave it within the actual, at the very end of the survey, there's a little spot for you to answer it in. So you can leave it there. Or if you know that there's a certain question you wanted to ask us, don't forget it'll be me and Jony over here doing that last little video. You can actually leave that question down in the comment section down below as well. I'll also take those questions there as well though. But yeah, just don't forget about that survey link. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive up into this episode 23 review. And I gotta say for this one, oh shoot, I honestly, I feel a little bit mixed on this, and I know my boy Jony over here kind of felt a little bit mixed as well though. But this episode, it has some good points. I'm gonna admit it has some good points, but also on the end, it sort of kind of has some slow moments, and we'll talk about all of that stuff in the review though. But that's just kind of the general raw impressions. It's just sort of kind of mixed. But hopefully it's going to do a whole lot better in the last episode, for the last episode. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive straight up into this Dr. Stone episode 23 review.
像は真空管、骨格はプラスチック、声帯はマイク、血管は金の電線。この4つのボディパーツを揃えりゃ携帯電話が完成する。この超特大科学プロジェクトもいよいよ最後の山場だ。てめえらゴールまで一気に突っ走んぞ。ゼロに達して今をかけて流れる赤い血のよ。線を引いて殻を割って咲いた花の模様をつなげてし筆を持って取り戻してく命。目に見えないルーレがイコールイコールを探しに行く。
Alright, so starting off at the very beginning of the episode, oh man, I don't even know how to start with this thing. Because I gotta say, because with the very beginning, I'm like, they're just kind of gathered all the way around, and we're picking up from the last tail ending moments of the previous episode where they managed to get the tungsten and everything. So we're like, oh, okay, we got another crafting episode. And essentially, now that they got they basically have the materials to make the vacuum tubes. They got the skeleton with the plastic, they got their vocal cords, and they got the copper wires. So we're basically going to see them start to, construct the vacuum tubes and starting to deal with the tungsten. And I'll let you go ahead and take over from here, Jony.
Okay, so in the start of the episode, we actually see the crew all gathering together in the science base, and we can see Suika looking through the telescope to animals and the whole forest. And she's actually used to see things from far away can actually exist because they had never seen anything like it. And they gathered the tungsten, as Zard said, but they actually needed to take it out of the rock first to be able to use it while on crafting the cell phones. So the first thing that they had to do was take the tungsten out of the rock, and who shines bright in that part of the episode is Magma, brute force smashing the rocks around. And the village chief was just surprised that Magma had intentions. Magma had never shown intentions to help before, but now he was all hyped up to help and win this battle against Tsukasa. What do you think about that?
Dang, I gotta say, at least with that, oh my gosh. Because this dude was going, Magma was going hard at, grinding that stuff out. It was a really good thing that the fact of the matter that, hey, that the stuff that they needed to make, it needed to be in powder form anyway. Because if Magma jumped the gun and they said, no, we need like a big old, like hard crystalline version of it. Oh shoot, they were gonna be out of luck, and that would have pushed their schedule back though. But then it was good to notice how the old previous village chief, because now Senku's a new one though. The matter of fact that he said, you know what, Magma's acted a little bit differently, and it was a good little way to kind of point out the character development that kind of went down in that cave when they were trying to get all that tungsten and stuff. So overall, I thought that was pretty good though. And then essentially at this point, they said, all right, you know what? Or actually, at this point in the game, it was really nice because the matter of fact that we started to get to see a little bit of character development for the old craftsman. And I thought this was pretty good, well placed, because the craftsman, for some oddball reason, I can never, almost hardly ever try to remember this dude's name though. But after seeing this little bit though, it kind of made me feel bad though, because you know what? He isn't like the most important character, but at the same time, the stuff they've been doing with him has been pretty fun and pretty cool, pretty funny. Just seeing him buff up, going Super Saiyan or whatever though. I always got a little kick of joy out of this though. But what do you think about this whole thing, Jony?
I mean, as you said before, I think this was a really good part to introduce Katsuki's development, because we're getting on the final lap on the anime. The anime is gonna end, and Old Man Katsuki never actually had any development. We knew he was a craftsman, a really talented craftsman at that, but we never actually got to see what inspired him to become a craftsman. And I think that was the only thing missing on that development. Because we saw that he loved crafting things and he has crafted things all his life. But the old man was missing a friend. And friends are one of the most important things you can get in your life. So, yeah, that's just it. I'm gonna say it again. I just think that we should get more on why he started crafting things. But I'm gonna leave it to you, Zod. What did you think about that?
Now that's what I really appreciate, is the matter of the fact that they went back and gave him a little bit of character development and said, he really liked, I guess that was sort of kind of like his hobby. Like he really liked making things while he was a kid. And it was a bit unfortunate how the fact of the matter that he didn't have like a buddy, or I guess he may not have a lot of different friends that were maybe around his age. Maybe they were a little bit younger, maybe they were a little bit older. We don't know about all the specifics about that though, but it was really nice to kind of see how he really liked making crafts and stuff. And I guess because of the fact of the matter that he didn't have any friends that were like, his buddies to help make crafts, you didn't have somebody that was kind of help to push you, because with friends, as you kind of said earlier, friends help you. They basically bring the best out of you and basically push you another step forward. Hence why, he made the bridge and stuff, which is all cool and stuff, but he never made anything on the scale of things that that Senku started to recommend and then to help build. And it was thanks to, Senku as well as Chrome. And he pointed out and said, hey, you know what? Hey, we're your two friends now. Or your craftsman buddies, so to say. And the matter of fact, when Chrome pointed that out, that basically made him feel really good. And that transition between, him going through his soap opera craftsman and then him busting out and starting to go back into the thing, that was the quickest little transition I ever seen, going out of a backstory character development right back into the straight up plot though. But overall, I really enjoyed that though. But we figure out at this point in the anime, there was basically two different things that they basically have to do in order to try to create these vacuum tubes, and that was the chemistry side of things, and then we had the sort of kind of like the more mechanical side of things, because the chemistry side of things, they basically have to create like a sort of kind of a toothpaste kind of material, and then on the other side, on the mechanical side of things, they have to basically melt up that tungsten within the actual tube. And Senku said, you know what, I'm gonna leave that part to you, Chrome, and I'm gonna worry about the chemistry part. So you pull Gen aside. So I guess I'll go ahead and break down the chemistry side of things. I'm gonna let Jony break down the mechanical side of things. So that way we kind of get both of these things covered with. So in terms of the chemistry side of things, we had Senku, and you pull Gen along because Gen was actually working with the modern time. Not working with the modern times, but Gen is basically the only other person here along with Senku from the modern times. So ideally he would be the one that would know the most about chemistry, so to say though. But shortly after we figure out him talking about this stuff, he started talking about a whole bunch of gibberish. I ain't gonna lie though, because it was hard for me to even keep up with all this stuff running up in my mind. Because even I had been taking some chemistry classes and whatnot though, but not even I was kind of following along with everything that I was. So Gen is basically like a representation of everybody else that might be watching this anime, unless you're a chemistry major or whatever though. It was kind of hard to follow along. A little comedic effect right there though, but essentially they needed to create this toothpaste to help with the filament for making those vacuum tubes or whatever though. So there's a lot of stuff that kind of went over our heads though, but overall it was just kind of honestly, I just kind of want to say it was sort of kind of filler to a point, but we knew it was sort of kind of working towards their overall goal. But there ain't too much more to say about this unless you want to go down and break down each little chemical thing that he basically said while he was making this stuff. But that was pretty much it that was going on the chemistry side of things. And Jony, why don't you go ahead and take us down the mechanical side of things, what Chrome was messing with.
Okay, so as Art said, they divided themselves in two groups, the chemistry side and the mechanical side, which objective was to melt tungsten for the cell phone crafting. And Chrome was elected by Senku was the leader of the heating team. And along with the sentence to use every single trick up your science sleeve. And so Chrome was like, how am I gonna do that? But wait, I might have an idea that might work. And then he started using all the tricks that they had pulled before, since the manpower that they used to heat up the iron before, to the electric water wheel that they had created for electricity, and they were able to do it. Well, he did as Senku said, they used all the tricks up their sleeve, and it worked. So that's basically it for the eating team side. They were able to heat the tungsten with a lot of work, but they did it, and it was really funny to watch Chrome go at it from every single way possible. So what do you think about that, Sar?
Yeah, it was pretty cool because they literally used the old traditional air pumps. They used the glass as a form of heating, because we knew they used that glass before to technically catch Magma's clothes on fire. They had it all in
They used wood as well.
Yeah, I was trying to think, was there something? I was just kind of skimming through this thing. I was trying to figure out, was there anything? But no, oh, and then of course using the batteries to sort of kind of like heat the stuff up as well, though. But yeah, they basically pulled almost every little trick out of the bag, and of course for the visual effects, because when you're dealing with this much science, you gotta have some kind of visual element in there. They basically compared that tungsten to like Godzilla or something like that up in this episode, though. So I thought that was sort of kind of funny, though. But that was basically it for the whole first half of the episode, though. And then we basically get the transition over into the second part of the episode, where you basically got to see Senku, Chrome, Gen, as well as the craftsmen, and they started to break up the different tasks, because now that they got the filament for this, now all they got to do is really just kind of create the vacuum tubes or whatnot, though. And this is something that me and Jony kind of pointed out during the episode, though, was there was this moment that happened like 3 or 4 different times in this anime where it was like all of them, like, it's either Senku either clapping with Chrome or clapping with Katsuki, or they had that like signature kind of pose clap thing that was like, hey, you know what you're doing, I know what I'm doing, all right, let's roll out. What did you think about that, Jony?
Um, you remember me, dude? That was so funny. I mean, Senku and Chrome clapping is their signature move, you can say. And then Kaseki, he finally realized that he had friends, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do that with my buddies as well." And he was like, "Hey, Senku, I'm gonna do what you asked me to, but only if you do with me what you've done with Chrome." And it was funny to watch that. Funnier was that Suika right after that, she was asking Senku what could the kids do, and they clapped each other as well. Funny, just a repetition of it. It happened, kinda happened after a little bit of thing for another time. So I'll actually keep on explaining.
Yeah, and then essentially right after that, because Suika was asking, what could she do with the kids and whatnot, and that was really cool to kind of see how much they were trying to get involved. But the next major thing we kind of saw in the episode was the fact of the matter that Senku was trying to make that plastic, so they had to have their little contraption set up to where they had to heat something up, let it cool, kind of heat something up again, and then heat it up again, because they were adding and take away certain properties to the plastic in order for them to basically sort of kind of create that though. But then we ran into a little small issue with all the other villagers that were trying to help out. And that was with them still trying to go through there and thread to put together that gold wire that's supposed to be extremely long or whatever though. And the fact that all of these people were out there in the freezing cold, we got to think about it. These people in the Stone Age, so they ain't got no AC and they ain't got no heaters. So they're out there, twisting that little gold thread with their little tiny little stubby little fingers, and their fingers just freezing over or whatnot though. That just got to feel pretty bad for all of them though. So Senku started to get an idea, and he actually started to create basically little small furnaces, out of the copper and whatnot, and basically sticking those in the middle of the huts. So essentially, we started getting some heating back in the Stone Age. What do you have to think about that, Jony?
I mean, for us, living in the modern times, heating is such a common thing. As you said, there's ACs, heaters, capacitors as well. But we never stopped to think about what in the Stone Age. Winters were so much crueler on the Stone Age. But when I think about what Senku did, those little furnaces, as you've said, I mean, it wasn't all that hard to make, at least from my point of view. They made it because they needed coal ash, that's what Senku said. But that's of course half of the explanation. Senku, of course, he wanted the people to be happy, to be better and healthy. That's why he made those little furnaces, as you referred to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really good to see that Senku is taking on the part as village chief. Now that he has the title and he commands the village. It was really fun, and that's also on that part when we saw the older village chief. He was saying to Senku, I see that my choice to leave you as the village chief wasn't an error. And it was really great because on that moment, it just seemed like the clap that Senku had been doing with Chrome, Kaseki, and so it was a it was a little bit fun. But yeah,
But yeah, that was really good to see, and that was a good little note that you kind of touched on, because it just kind of helps kind of wrap things all up together. The fact of the matter that that Senku, is the village chief, and not only is he trying to go out with the scientific stuff with, trying to combat with Tsukasu's empire though, but he is caring about the village people and making their lives a little bit easier, one step at a time, whenever it seems super convenient, whenever, Senku managed to find a scientific breakthrough or whatnot though. And then, oh my gosh, one of the most interesting parts of this episode, and I gotta talk about this. So essentially, Gen was making these manganese zinc carbon batteries, and the way that he was essentially making these, it was similar in the same kind of form, a matter of when he put them together, they were sort of kind of rice balls. And this is what I got to talk about, because the matter of fact that this dude was saying while he was making these things, he was sort of kind of pseudo rapping, halfway rapping during the fact of the matter of this, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like that was completely out of left field. I was not even expecting this thing while he was making this thing. And man, I wish y'all would have heard my reaction whenever I was actually watching this episode, though, because that part, it literally had my jaw drop. Like, I gotta play a little snippet of this for y'all, because this was crazy.
海苔はあえんおにぎりのマンガングワスミグワスミあっという間にマンガン電池あっという間にマンガン電池あれもうできちゃったそんなに同意作業じゃなかったよ
But man, after hearing that, I was like, oh my gosh. And oh goodness, what do you have to think about that, Jony?
I mean, he was just making the zinc carbon batteries that Senku probably asked him to. And he was rapping all the way, and I think it was really cool to see that. Because normally when you're doing nothing, sometimes you start singing to yourself, isn't that right? So
yeah, that's pretty true.
So yeah, it was really good to see that they are kind of like us. I mean, they can be compared to us in real life, because yeah.
関連マンガン散々マンガン関連マンガンガンガンマンガン関連マンガン散々マンガンそれを800個なえ800個
But I think that was pretty much it for that scene. And then they basically have to create or use some wine, and they basically use the stuff off the bottom of the barrel of the wine in order to kind of help make the, what is it? It was sort of kind of like they had to mix some stuff together with some hot, cooked seaweed and hot water and whatnot, though, in order to help make that essentially in that microphone. And you kind of see, and it looked like little like shards of glass that was basically up in there, but it looked more like actually like a crystalline or whatever, though, to create a megaphone. But yeah, that was just a short little scene right here. And then this is where things got really interesting in terms of the fact that they actually played the original Dr. Stone opening in this thing. That's usually something that you usually see within the anime at a most hype moment. And with this being Dr. Stone, the hype is more so with the scientific stuff. So you honestly, based upon what we were supposed to expect in the last episode, with what could be the little kickstart to the little mini war or whatever, it'll be out of place to sticking in episode 25. So it actually makes sense to sticking in episode 24. And what do you have to say about your reaction to that?
I mean, I was crazy when the opening started playing. I started singing like crazy in the middle of the reaction. And because I love the first opening, I think the first opening is better than the second one.
Now I got to disagree on that. Second opening is better than the first one, though. I got to put my 2 cents up in there, though.
I like the first one better, and that was crazy over it. But I think that is one of the parts where this episode missed, because I think the song was really out of the blue, and it didn't make sense to put the song there. I feel like if they had put the song in the end of the episode and made like an ending out of it, with like showing Senku with everything done and Tsukasa readying his army and everything, I think it would be better than just playing the song at random. But overall, it was again.
Now, I will say, it didn't quite feel too, like, it felt like it completely came out of left field, but I didn't feel it was too random, because while the song was playing, you saw, like, it went into, like, one of those, like, those little movie montages, or whatever you want to call them, though. Basically, no one's saying something, but you get to see what they're doing, and, you got to see, Genro and Kenro, they were kind of helping with some stuff. You got to see different people in the village. You got to see Kohaku messing with the megaphone and stuff. You got to see Chrome over here, making with the plastic. You saw Suiku over here completing the copper, or not the copper, the gold wire. And you got to see all them kind of putting the stuff together, which all led up to the point where he basically created what was Senku's phone or whatever, though. And yeah, you basically got to see a little combination of everything that everybody was doing, from everything from the village people to everybody with Senku's group. And they basically finally after these couple or few episodes, they finally basically were able to put together Senku's phone. And it was just in the nick of time, too, because wintertime is just about over. And you got to see at the very tail end of the episode where Tsukasa basically said, you know what, it's almost about time. He had all of his baddies gather up, you know, with all of his different members, though. And it looked like he was about ready to attack. And actually, if y'all look at that one little scene where, you know, he had all of his baddies kind of gathered around, you know, you got to see some new faces, and I ain't gonna go through and say the list of names because that's sort of kind of spoilery, but maybe we'll get to talk about it in episode 24 because, you know, based upon how they managed to actually cut this episode off will actually determine whether or not we'll get to see a lot of these different characters in the play, though. But the three that we definitely know is obviously we got Tsukasa. Let's see here. What's that other dude's name? If you can help remind me of my memory.
Who?
Oh, Tsukasa, Hyoga, and Homaru. You got to see those three in that image, but pay attention to those people that are sort of kind of to the left and sort of kind of to the far right, though, because they're actually going to be somewhat mildly important as well. I ain't going to say their names right now, though, unless you're like a manga reader who might actually know their names, though. But yeah, things about to get really interesting, though, so yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Are there any other last little things you wanted to say about this episode as a whole, Jony?
I mean, I just want to say that they left us on a real cliffhanger because now that Senku has everything ready and they are just waiting for the winter to end to finally make their moves, I think that they left us on a really hard cliffhanger until next week. But well, that's how anime works actually. So we'll have to wait and see, will our science user friends come out victorious, or will the strength of lions and really powerful muscles
Tarzan on steroids, man. Tarzan on steroids.
Oh my, completely overtake the science kingdom. We'll have to see that. And we'll also have to deposit our faith in a possible second season for the anime. But that discussion is going to come on next week after the next episode in our final discussion about Dr. Stone. Yeah. So if you want to make the honors, Zard.
Alrighty, so that's pretty much it for this episode review. So I hope y'all really enjoyed it. So if you really like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell notification to keep up to date on all things Dr. Stone, as we're making that final little bit of a push towards the very end of this whole entire anime season for a whole for this Dr. Stone. And don't forget, down in that description box below, I got the links down there for the survey in terms of our overall final discussions over Dr. Stone. So if you got a few minutes to spare, go ahead and answer those questions. It'll be muchly greatly appreciated. And down in that description box below, I have those links hooked up from my buddy over here, Jony. I just want to say thanks for showing up in today's review, though. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got to say about this Dr. Stone review. So remember, y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.
Shop swall.
来る前に完成したな。いよいよお待ちかねの VS 司最終決戦だ。そそるぜこれは。